Do you know the quickest way to kill a miracle? It isn't doubt, it isn't fear, it is ingratitude. We often treat gratitude like table manners, just saying thank you when someone passes the salt. But in the Bible, gratitude is not manners. It is warfare. It is a spiritual weapon that acts like a key. It locks the door to the enemy and unlocks the storehouses of heaven. It is the only force capable of multiplying what you have in your hand. Today, we are not just listening to a video. We are accepting a 7-day challenge. We are going to conduct a spiritual experiment that I believe will rewrite the story of your life. To understand why this weapon is so critical, we must first look at the cost of ignoring it. We need to travel back 3,500 years to the most barren place on earth. Part 1. The wilderness of the grumbling heart. To understand why we need this challenge, we have to look at the alternative. We have to look at what happens to the human soul when gratitude is absent. I want you to travel back with me to the Sinai Peninsula. It is a vast rocky desert. The sun is relentless. The heat radiates off the ground in shimmering waves. Here we find the children of Israel. They have just seen the Red Sea part. They have seen the mightiest army on earth, the Egyptians, defeated. They are walking in absolute freedom. Every morning God performs a miracle called manna. It is a bread-like substance that appears on the ground with the dew. They do not have to work for it. They just have to gather it. But watch closely, because even in the middle of a miracle, the human heart can find a reason to complain. But let us listen to the conversation in the camp in Numbers chapter 11. Are they singing songs of freedom? Are they marveling at the miracle food? No. The text says, the rabble with them began to crave other food. And again the Israelites started wailing and said, if only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost. Also the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. But now we have lost our appetite. We never see anything but this manna. Let that sink in for a moment. They are holding miracle bread in their hands, bread sent from heaven, and they are calling it miserable. They are looking back at their slavery in Egypt with nostalgia just because they had some cucumbers. This is the condition of the human heart. It is what I call the grumbling cycle. It is a spiritual blindness that makes us focus on the one thing we lack rather than the 1,000 things we possess. It is the voice in your head that says, I hate my job, even though that job pays for your house. It says, my spouse is so annoying, even though that spouse loves you. It says, I wish I had a better car, even though your current car gets you where you need to go. Science tells us that our brains have a negativity bias. We are like Velcro for bad experiences and Teflon for good ones. We stick to the negative. If 10 people compliment you today, and 1 person insults you, which one will you be thinking about when you fall asleep? The insult. This negativity is not just annoying, it is destructive. In the wilderness, that grumbling spirit kept an entire generation out of the promised land. They spent 40 years walking in circles, not because the map was hard to read, but because their hearts were broken by ingratitude. They could not see the goodness of God, so they could not enter the rest of God. We are often walking in those same circles. We think I will be happy when I get married. Then we get married and say, I will be happy when we have kids. Then we have kids and say, I will be happy when they move out. We are constantly deferring our joy to a future that never arrives, missing the manna that is right in front of us today. The 7-day gratitude challenge is an intervention. It is a way to grab the steering wheel of your mind and violently turn it away from the cliff of complaining. It is about retraining your eyes to see the true glory in the ordinary. Over the next few parts of this story, I am going to walk you through a specific focus for each of the 7 days. We are going to look at biblical characters who mastered this art. We are going to see how gratitude opened the eyes of a prophet's servant, how it won a war without a sword, and how it multiplied a boy's lunch. But first we have to agree on the diagnosis. We have to admit that we are the Israelites. We have to admit that we have let the cucumbers of Egypt distract us from the bread of heaven. If you are ready to break that cycle, if you are tired of the wilderness, then you are ready for this challenge. So how do we begin? How do we start to rewire a brain that is addicted to what is missing? It starts with a story about invisible armies and a servant who learned to really see. To begin day 1 and day 2 of our challenge, let us move to the next part of our journey. Part 2. The Eyes of the Heart. We have left the grumbling Israelites in the desert, and now we are moving forward in history to a small city called Dothan. We are going to learn the secret of day 1 and day 2 of our challenge. The story is found in 2 Kings chapter 6. The prophet Elisha is in trouble. The king of Aram is furious with him and has sent a massive army to capture him. Imagine waking up early in the morning, rubbing the sleep from your eyes, and stepping outside your door to breathe the fresh air. But instead of a peaceful sunrise, you see the glint of metal. Horses, chariots, and soldiers have surrounded the entire city. Elisha's servant wakes up and panics. It is a natural reaction. He looks at the reality of the problem. He runs to Elisha and screams, "Oh no, my lord! What shall we do?" The servant represents how most of us live our lives. We look at the bank account and see not enough. We look at the medical report and see fear. We look at the news and see chaos. We are realists. We see the chariots. But Elisha is calm. He possesses a different kind of sight. He says, "Don't be afraid. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them." The servant must have thought Elisha was crazy. He could count. It was 2 men against an army. But then Elisha prays a very specific prayer. He does not pray for the army to go away. He prays, "Lord, open his eyes that he may see." The Lord opens the servant's eyes, and suddenly, the reality shifts. He looks at the same hills, but now he sees they are full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. The angelic army was there the whole time. The protection was there the whole time. The servant just lacked the lens to see it. This brings us to day 1 of your gratitude challenge. We will call day 1, the lookup. On day 1, your only task is to stop looking at the problem and start looking at the provider. Most of us start our prayers with a list of complaints. God, fix this. God, I need that. For day 1, you are forbidden from asking for anything. You are only allowed to thank God for who He is. You are looking for the chariots of fire. You are thanking Him for His character, His faithfulness, His power, His love. You are orienting your compass. True north. But then comes day 2. We call day 2, the look-in. After we see God correctly, we need to see ourselves correctly. Psalm 139 says, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." This is hard for many of us. We look in the mirror and we criticize. We see the wrinkles, the weight, the failures. On day 2 of the challenge, you must find gratitude for your own existence. Think about the complexity of your body. Your heart beats 100,000 times a day without you asking it to. Your lungs filter oxygen. Your eyes process millions of colors. This is a gift. You are a walking miracle. When the servant of Elisha saw the chariots of fire, his fear evaporated. The enemy army didn't disappear, but his perception of the enemy changed. That is what happens when you practice the look up and the look in. The bills might still be on the table. The stress might still be at work. But you are no longer a victim. You are a protected child of the King. You realize that you are not alone in the city. This shift in perspective is the foundation. But gratitude is not just a pair of glasses to see better. In the hands of a warrior, gratitude becomes a sword. It becomes something that can actually fight battles for you. To understand how a song can defeat an army, and to discover the tasks for day 3 and day 4, let us move to the next part of our story. Part 3. The Melody of War. We are now deep into our challenge. We have looked up at God and looked in at our own creation. Now for day 3 and day 4, we are going to learn how to look back and look around. To do this, we travel to the kingdom of Judah. During the reign of King Jehoshaphat. The story is in 2 Chronicles chapter 20. It is a terrifying moment. 3 different nations have formed an alliance to wipe Judah off the map. A vast multitude is marching toward Jerusalem. King Jehoshaphat is afraid, the Bible says. That is honest. But notice what he does with his fear. He calls the nation to fast and pray. As they stand before the temple, the Spirit of the Lord comes upon a man named Jahaziel, and he says, "Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the battle is not yours but God's." Now here is the strange part. The next morning, as they march out to meet this massive army, Jehoshaphat does not put his best archers in the front. He does not put his tank division in the front. He appoints men to sing to the Lord and to praise him for the splendor of his holiness as they go out at the head of the army, saying, "Give thanks to the Lord, for his love endures forever." Imagine the scene, a choir marching into a slaughter. It makes no military sense. It looks foolish, but the text says, "As they began to sing and praise, the Lord set ambushes against the men of Ammon and Moab and Mount Seir who were invading Judah, and they were defeated." The enemy armies got confused and started fighting each other. By the time Judah arrived, the battle was over. They didn't even have to lift a sword. This brings us to day 3 of your challenge, the look back. Why could they sing before the victory? Because they remembered what God had done in the past. On day 3, your task is to mine your own history for gold. I want you to write down 3 specific times in your life when God came through for you. 3 times when you thought it was over, but you made it. 3 times when a door opened that you didn't knock on. When you look back and remember the lions and bears God has already killed for you, it gives you the courage to face the Goliath in front of you. It turns your anxiety into adrenaline. Then we move to day 4, the look around. Gratitude is not a solo sport. We are connected to people. On day 4, your challenge is relational. I want you to identify 3 people in your life who have blessed you. Maybe it is a teacher from 10 years ago. Maybe it is your mother. Maybe it is a difficult coworker who actually taught you patience. But you cannot just think about them. You must tell them. Send a text. Write a letter. Make a call. Say, "I was thinking about you and I just wanted to say thank you for being in my life." When you do this, something breaks in the atmosphere. Just like the singing army confused the enemy. Expressing gratitude to people confuses the enemy of strife and division. You cannot hate someone you are thanking. You cannot hold a grudge against someone you are blessing. By the end of day 4, you will feel lighter. The weight of the battle of anxiety, the battle of loneliness will start to lift. You will realize that you have a weapon that is stronger than complaining. You have the weapon of praise. But there is one more level. It is the level where gratitude defies the laws of physics and mathematics. It is the level where gratitude takes not enough and turns it into more than enough. To see this miracle and to uncover day 5 and day 6, let us move to the next part of our story. Part 4, the mathematics of mercy. We are now entering the deep waters of the challenge. Day 5 and day 6. This is where the rubber meets the road. It is easy to be grateful when the army is defeated. It is easy to be grateful when the sun is shining. But what about when you are hungry? What about when the resources run out? To understand this, we go to a grassy hillside near the Sea of Galilee. It is late in the day. 5,000 men, plus women and children, have been following Jesus. They are tired, and they are starving. The disciples, being practical men, look at the situation and do the math. Philip says, 8 months' wages would not buy enough bread for each one to have a bite. They see scarcity. They see the gap between the demand and the supply. Then Andrew finds a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. He brings it to Jesus, but he adds a disclaimer. But how far will they go among so many? This is where we live, isn't it? We look at our energy, our patience, our money, and we say, it is not enough. I am not enough. But watch what Jesus does in John chapter 6 verse 11. Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did not complain about the small portion. He did not ask God why there wasn't a buffet. He took the not enough, and he gave thanks for it. The miracle of multiplication happened after the gratitude. The giving thanks was the catalyst that broke the limitations of the physical world. This brings us to day 5, the look down. On day 5, I want you to look at the small things. The things you usually step over. The fact that you have a pillow to sleep on. The fact that you have clean water coming out of a tap. Something kings and queens of the past would have killed for. The smell of coffee. The sound of rain. Your challenge is to find gratitude in the microscopic details. When you thank God for the small loaf of bread, you are preparing it to multiply. You are training your brain to savor life rather than just rush through it. Then comes day 6. The look forward. This is the hardest one. This is advanced gratitude. On day 6, I want you to thank God for something that has not happened yet. Just as Jesus thanked God before the bread multiplied, and just as Jehoshaphat sang before the battle was won, you are going to thank God for a future promise. If you are praying for healing, thank Him for being your healer now. If you are praying for a wayward child, thank Him that He is the good shepherd who chases down the lost sheep. This is not fake it till you make it. This is faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. When you thank God in advance, you are building a landing strip for the miracle. You are telling God, I trust you so much that I will praise you in the hallway before the door opens. By day 6, you will notice a profound shift in your spirit. The desperate grasping for things will be replaced by a quiet confidence. You will stop looking at the size of your need and start looking at the size of your God. And that leads us to the final day, the day of completion. The day where gratitude becomes not just an act but a state of being. To reach the finish line of our challenge and understand the secret of contentment, let us move to the final chapter. Part 5. The Secret of the Cell. We have arrived at day 7, the final day of our challenge. We have looked up, in, back, around, down and forward. Now where are we? We are in a prison cell in Rome. It is dark. It is damp. It smells of mold and despair. Sitting in the corner, chained to a Roman guard, is an old man named Paul. If anyone had a right to complain, it was Paul. He had been shipwrecked, beaten, stoned, and now imprisoned for preaching the gospel. Yet from this dark hole he writes a letter to the church in Philippi, and this letter is known as the Epistle of Joy. In Philippians 4, he writes words that echo through history. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through Him who gives me strength. What is the secret? It is the final lesson of our challenge. It is the Sabbath of gratitude. Day 7 is simply the rest. On this final day, you do not have to write a list. You do not have to send a text. You simply have to abide in the peace that gratitude has built. Paul realized that his joy was not connected to his geography. It was not connected to his circumstances. It was connected to his connection with Christ. Gratitude had built a fortress around Paul's heart that the Roman Empire could not breach. They could chain his hands, but they could not chain his praise. They could take his freedom, but they could not take his joy. When you practice gratitude for 7 days, you are building that same fortress. You are learning that your happiness is not dependent on the economy, the government, or the weather. It is an inside job. It is a wellspring that flows from the Spirit of God within you. So here is the full 7-day gratitude challenge summarized for you. Day 1. The look up. Thank God for His character, not His gifts. Day 2. The look in. Thank God for the miracle of your own life and body. Day 3. The look back. Thank God for 3 specific victories in your past. Day 4. The look around. Thank 3 people who have blessed you. Day 5. The look down. Thank God for the small, simple comforts of today. Day 6. The look forward. Thank God for a prayer He hasn't answered yet. Day 7. The rest. Sit in silence and enjoy the presence of the God who is enough. My friends, if you do this, if you really do this, I promise you, you will not be the same person in a week. The problems in your life might still be there, but they will look smaller. The chariots of fire will be visible, the bread will feel like a feast, and the prison cell will feel like a sanctuary. Why not start right now? As soon as this audio ends, take a deep breath, look up, and say your first thank you. It has been an honor to share this challenge with you. Walk in grace, live in thanksgiving, and watch how your life changes. God bless you.